we go. There we go. Booyah. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and welcome to Firing Range, a podcast to talk about all things Destiny weapons, abilities, loadouts, and the sandbox at large. My name is Fallout. Doing pretty well this week. Cool guy, what's going on with you, man? How's your week going?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good, actually.
Yeah, good. Anything special going on? You just kind of staying the course?
Feels good, man.
Feels good? Yeah, it's good to be alive. Merc, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Staying busy with work and playing lots of Destiny. Got most of my stuff done for this season, so now I'm just kind of, playing with the weapons I've been given, trying new stuff out, and playing a ton of Iron Banner, which is a nice change because up until this season, Iron Banner was something I avoided like the plague. So,
yeah, we could touch on that in a minute. I feel kind of the same way, but I want to check in with my boy Drew. How you doing, buddy?
Yo. I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been a somewhat eventful-ish week for me. But yeah, I'm good.
Oh, cool. Has anyone been playing the Fall Guys? Has anyone played that game?
I haven't.
I haven't yet, no.
Oh,
I
you
plan
people
to.
are
It looks
killing me.
amazing.
It is really fun. Free on PlayStation Plus right now, but I think I'm just going to drop the 20 and grab it on PC. It's really fun. Horribly addicting. I have not won one game yet. I got a beta key from my buddy Bless. Shout out to Bless, the Taco Lord, and have not won a single game. It's kind of like Mario Party meets Fortnite. I know that sounds kind of like a nightmare mishmash, but believe me, tons of fun. But yeah, Merc, I'm right there with you, buddy. I actually look forward to playing Iron Banner now. It's no longer a massive pain. I mean, the bounties are straightforward. You get all of them completed by just playing the game. It's pretty nice. The only bad thing I will say that remains is the horrific RNG, because I'm trying to get my hunter to 1060. It's bad, right? So both me and my fiance are playing Iron Banner together. We get all of our bounties done. We get 4 pinnacles. I was like, none of them helped me. Did any of them help you? She's like, nope.
yeah. I'm still just trying to grind out the forward path and Fool's Remedy, and I have had atrocious luck getting, I've gotten acceptable rolls, don't get me wrong, but I have just had atrocious luck getting what I'm actually trying to get. So I'm gonna keep playing it though. I mean, it's not like in the past. I actually look forward to it when it comes around. I'm like, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna play, and I'm gonna spend this entire week playing Iron Banner. So something has changed. I'm sure we all know what has changed.
What?
And probably approximately half the community is not stoked with the change, but it certainly made things better for me, and I enjoy that. So
Yeah.
So I'm actually on the opposite, right? It was myself, Fallout Plays, Anno, and True Vanguard. How long did we play Iron Banner for?
Couple hours. We played for a while.
I would say we mercied 95% of the games.
We did, yeah.
Now, the company was fun. I didn't have a good time, though.
Like, gameplay-wise, because you thought it was too much of a...
It was very, very lopsided.
Stomp.
It was very...
So
team balance wasn't there.
I will say this. I think that's a team balancing issue, not necessarily a skill-based matchmaking, connection-based issue. Like, I would love to see fire teams weighted heavily to play against each other in all playlists, not just this playlist. But I would love to see fire teams weighted heavily to play against each other. Secondarily, at least the mercies happen really fast in Iron Banner because of the steamroll effect that comes when when you're got the hunt going on and everything like that. Like, when we run in a 6-stack, which I don't do often because I don't like playing in 6-stack, because I just think there's more there's more negatives than positives that come out of it for other players. But the mercies are like 2 minutes in and the game's done, right? So at least it's like, well, we're getting crushed this game and it's done and I can move on to the next one. I don't feel as bad getting mercied or mercing someone when it doesn't waste 8 minutes of time to mercy someone like it kind of does in normal control.
True.
This iteration of matchmaking is so good for group play. It's probably the best it's ever been. You can various skill levels. It doesn't matter. Say you're in a clan. Say there's a PvE side and a PvP side. You guys can just come together and have a good time. But for the solo player, it's kind of a weird experience. It's probably the worst matchmaking's ever been for the solo player, especially on the lower skill. Because I talked about it in a video not too long ago, but I've been looking at my Discord. I've been looking all over, man, and a lot of these players that are like-minded, that are like, you know what, I'm forced in the Crucible, whether it be for the Wither Horde quest, whether it be for the Komodo for like a weapon. They would go in there skill based, and they would pretty much match similar-minded people. Like okay, I have to go in the Crucible, so they go in there. They're not getting absolutely slaughtered in there because it's skill based, matching with people of their skill. I mean, now those people that are going in, and if anything in the future is tied to a Crucible quest, they're just gonna hate it, man. And I don't think that's really good for the game.
So counterpoint to this, and there's no way that this doesn't jack the entire.
We're getting into this Fallout,
but yeah, I mean, you
We're
didn't want
getting
to,
in, baby.
but we have
I like
to have
it.
this conversation. So counterpoint, they do have survival, they do have elimination, which is still skill based, right? So as long as the quest doesn't specify that they can't do it in survival, there is a place, and don't get started on the game type being shittier than normal control, because I agree with you on that front, right? But they have some place in the Crucible where they can go where they'll be protected from people who are much better than them. And, secondarily, like, I am 100% a solo player, and I'm not a solo player that's not very good. I'm a solo player who's pretty decent. Like, I probably lose more of my games now than I lost when they were skill-based matchmaking, but I personally perform better. That's a trade-off I'm willing to make in quick play, where wins don't matter. Like, wins don't matter at all. Third thing, if they're only going into the Crucible because they have to play Crucible, and they only play 4 or 5 games a week, is it worth, and I am already debating whether or not I want to say this in my head, but is it worth improving the experience for someone who only plays 5 games a week and only because they have to, compared to someone who plays 100 games a week and legitimately enjoys it? Is it worth that trade-off of saying, look, you hate the Crucible and you only play when you have to play the Crucible, so we're going to make it better for you, and it comes at the cost of the person who plays a ton and loves the Crucible, right? Like, is that the trade-off that you're willing to make? And I think that's...
look at it. And I'll tell you why. There has to be an in-between. There has to be, because the current state of Destiny, and we've seen, it's within one elo, harsh, sweaty, skill-based matchmaking, Game 7 trials and quick play, or just none at all, right? Or it's just not even there. So
I do agree with that.
There has to be a middle ground there.
Halo 3 had a middle ground, and it was fun, right?
Exactly. So that's more my direction. Like, I wouldn't say necessarily catering to, let's say, someone that only plays 5 or 6 games. And the casual player is the life force of the game. I mean, I think you need them. You need more players coming in. Like, if they're having a bad experience, like, I played so many 750 light players, just shooting the air, using a blue SMG. Like, they're not having a good time. I'm not having a good time. Let's sort this out type. I do think, though. You go ahead, Fallout. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to derail that train. Come on, Cool Guy Express pulling into the station right now. Finish up, guy.
So, but it depends on your overall thought of it, because I know some players have the actual, like, you know what? I don't want super sweaty games. I want lag-free games. I just want to use weapons that I want to use. And while that's true, there are a lot of players that, like, no, I'm just gonna go in there and pump stop people. Like, I've looked at LFG sites, like, that's what they're doing. That's a whole separate breed of player. Like, that doesn't represent the people that don't want skill based. For me, it's more so connection. Like, you have to have a good connection, like, with it being peer to peer and the ping, like, the tick rate, like, it has to be running correctly. And if you're matching skills so hard that you're playing people across the ocean, wherever it is, like, the game's not gonna run properly. So, like, that's my stand.
It is a very rough situation. I feel like we're trying to have our cake and eat it too, because it's like, yeah, man, I want the casual people to be protected. I also want to have good connection games, and I also don't want to pub stomp people. But I also want to have fun and use the weapons I want to use without being forced to use top tier meta weapons.
It's so delicate.
I gotta ask though. I gotta ask a question. I feel like a lot of this stemmed from we're talking about the Iron Banner and the whole group matchmaking stuff. My simple question would be, would it not just be beneficial, in my mind at least, to have teams or groups prioritized to be matching teams or groups? Because I empathize. I feel like I'm a pretty good player personally, and I like to play solo a lot of the time. In Iron Banner, I don't mind stacking because, quite frankly, the RNG is just so bad that I just don't care anymore. I just want my tokens. But anyways, I typically, what's more entertaining to me and fun to me is playing solo. And yeah, when I face a team, it's like, holy crap, I need to go like full into overdrive to even try and attempt to win this game or salvage it. And for other players, I can't imagine that's a great experience either. So I gotta say, like, why not just prioritize teams matching other teams, and then solo and duo queue would be like solo queue essentially, and then anything above that, you're gonna try and match other parties.
I thought you were going to go full on into the suggestion I've been bringing up time and time again. Give people a lone wolf Iron Banner playlist, right? Like an actual separate solo queue. I know people might, well, it sounds a little weird, Fallout.
It crushes matchmaking pools, though.
That's the thing.
Yeah, but
I was
like,
gonna say that's not a bad idea, but like you're gonna set. I actually am of the opinion that there's already way too many playlists. I actually think playlists need to go. To better streamline the flow, like streamline matchmaking,
I agree.
and get more people into focused playlists. Right now, it just feels so unnecessary the amount of playlists there are, and on that point, it's just adding even more is just like, when I also think that like this is a problem not just in Iron Banner. It feels like an issue that could be, pretty legitimate, a legitimate concern everywhere in the Crucible right now. I think that people ganging up and kind of, I'm gonna say, exploiting, connection-based matchmaking or lack of a skill-based matchmaking to pub stomp is just, at the very least, I feel like you should be prioritized to match a group that's gonna not allow you to maybe be completely free, or at least have some semblance of coordination against you.
And I would agree. I mean, the problem is that sometimes it's a pub stomp when the original goal is not to pub stomp. Like, my fiance Anno took the day off work and was like, hey, it would be cool if we could just play Iron Banner together. We haven't played at Reset together in a while. I was like, that's a great idea. And I had already wanted to play with Cool Guy, so I texted him. And I'm like, yo, buddy, you wanna roll deep today? You wanna like dual stream or something? And he's like, yeah, I'm already gonna party up with True Vanguard. He's like, why don't you join us? I was like, well, that sounds awesome, but like, I don't want to, like, can Anno come too? Because I don't want to bail on my fiance. He's like, yeah, bring him. So we've now formed a 4-person fire team because I just wanted to play with my friends.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't like,
totally, I get it.
let's go murder people. Yeah, but like, we're strong players, like, really strong players. And I agree with Drew that it would be really good to heavily prioritize that. Here, what do you think of this idea, Merc? And Drew and Cool Guy. But Merc, because I mean, he's really in there with the matchmaking talk. But so if you're a solo player, we don't make a solo queue, or we don't make a solo playlist for Iron Banner, because that might spread the playlist too thin, right? Because then you'd be dividing Iron Banner matchmaking by 50%. You have one queue, but if you're a solo player, you can kind of maybe tick a box that's like, yeah, I'll wait a little bit, like just a little bit longer in the matchmaking for you to put me into a game with like other individuals. That way it's all in one matchmaking queue. But if you're a solo player, you can tell the game specifically like, okay, take time to make it a good match. Please don't put me against a team of 6, because that's not, like, why? But maybe if there's people out there who are looking for like, I don't know, maybe Drew's on a hot streak. Maybe Drew's feeling it, which is like most days. And maybe he's like, yeah, you know what? I want to pop off on stream. F it. He doesn't check that box. And he goes in and he fights a team of 4 or 5 or 6. He doesn't care. What if you have that option to kind of maybe customize how your search goes in exchange for a better playing experience?
I think Halo has something, like, I don't think it lets you choose between solo and team. I mean, but I think that there is something in Halo 5 that's like you can do matchmaking preference balanced, good quality, which means like both matchmaking and connection, or like quickest. So I mean, like, those are very kind of like loose terms, but I guess like matchmaking preference isn't a bad idea, I don't think, or like filters aren't a bad idea. But at the same time, I do kind of think to myself, like, why wouldn't, as a solo player, why wouldn't you just want, I guess for me at least, why wouldn't I just want that by default? Like, why wouldn't I just want it to be like, yeah, I should be just always prioritized with solo players? And I guess at the point where you really can't find other solos, which I find that hard to believe, like, you'd then put me against a team, or vice versa, where it would matter more, I think, is if you're with a team, it would by default want to try and find a team as best as it can, and only after a X amount of time of not being able to find a team then puts you against solos where it deems you that deems that you've been waiting for too long. Because I also think that the problem with, like you said, people teaming up, obviously I like playing with my friends. It's the engagement, right? The matches kind of become easy. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but even for I feel like maybe two teams of completely individually equal players, a coordinated team, even if you're not trying to be coordinated, still makes the match in many cases easier. It's advantageous to be a part of a team. So I think the engagement level goes down, and I just think that matching other teams by default, or trying to at least, keeps that engagement up at least a little bit.
I mean, there needs to be some type of fire team.
Yeah.
I think Merc may have been frozen in time.
Yeah, beautiful face. All right.
Beautiful. Take over, cool guy.
Waiting.
Oh.
Oh.
Is he back? No, he's...
Am I back?
Oh, wait.
Back.
Am I back?
I think he's back. I think he's back.
No. See, I never even can tell what to drop, because to me it just looks like everything's still alive. So I'm here, though, for now, at least.
I can hear you now. Yeah, keep going with what you... I can't remember where you cut off, but...
What I was trying to say is there needs to be some type of fire team waiting. Like that, you can't just give every playlist a freelance playlist. It will... Drew's right, there are too many playlists right now. We have Classic Mix, which is totally useless, considering we have control, and we have a 4v4 rotator that I can count on, one hand the amount of people to play it on a day-to-day basis, right? There's just way too many playlists, and it's splitting the player base unnecessarily. At the same time, as much as I prefer no skill-based matchmaking over pure skill-based matchmaking, there does need to be some skill-based matchmaking. You have people going in there and dropping 100 kills in a game, and it's that's cool for stream and that's cool for a YouTube video, but you just ruin not only 6 players in the other team's game, but you probably ruin your teammates' games too, unless you're playing in a 6-stack, in which case you're abusing the matchmaking. Halo 3 had a great where there was new player protection, and then you kind of worked your way out of that after a little bit, and then it opened you up to a broader pool of players. It didn't, you were unlikely as a day one player to be playing a level 50 in MLG and even in Social Slayer. That was just unlikely, right? But at the same time, you can't protect lower tier players forever.
Right.
At some point, they have to be opened up to the wider world and be like, look, you're not tremendously good at this game. I'm sorry, but you have to play people who are better than you at some point in time. When you go to the bar and you play ping pong at the bar, right? You don't get to tell players who are playing on the table, no, I don't want to play with you. You're too good. Right? You don't get to do that. And that's kind of what I feel quick play is. Quick play is going to a bar and it's just a pickup game, right? When you're in a league, you do get some more variability in terms of how you choose who to play, because you're ranked and you're told you're in Bronze League, so you play against Bronze League players, and that's fair. When you're in Diamond, you play against Diamond League players. But when you go to the local brewery, you don't get to tell people, no, I'm not going to play you because you're better than me. Right? It just, there's 2 different styles. One's a pickup game and one's a ranked game. And you have to understand that. And I think some people do. But right now, Bungie has shown us that you have one or you have the other. And you have that's it. They've shown us the ability to give all the skill-based matchmaking or none of the skill-based matchmaking. And so people think that those are the only 2 options. And I don't think that's the case.
I don't think so either. And another thing is, it's there. We all have a hidden skill ranking. It's there in the game. We all have elo, and the game would match those parameters when skill base is there. Another thing is, how does a player truly know that they're getting better? If they can't do it, I wouldn't say at their pace, but there is a point where you're starting off to where playing against insanely good players isn't going to make you better. You're going to be able to see their movement a little bit, but we could take Halo again, being at a level 35 going up against a 50, that's still a huge gap. A 40 to a 50 is a huge gap. But in this game, if you're a 9 or a 10 and you're playing against 40s and 50s, not really, not really good with your gun skill, your game sense, your movement. It'll be a super long push. It'll be that's if you stay with it, if you don't get frustrated by that time. But if there was a way to, it could be like you said, platinum, bronze, silver, gold, whatever it is, show it in game, and just to know, looking at a player, because as of right now we see unbroken, we see flawless. When we see unbroken and flawless, we know, okay, these guys, they're really in the crucible a lot. I would like to see that. I don't know how they would do it because the glory rank is nothing, right? The glory rank's nothing.
Actual garbage.
Yeah, it's. But I think that that's another phase. Like, there's
It
so
used to
many
be
layers to
something.
this, and my thing has always been, we're in connection based right now, and the conversation's still going to keep going, man, until I think it's truly fixed. Because as it says currently, from how I gathered, is like we listened to some feedback, we just turned it off. I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna have some more feedback, turn it back on, right? So,
It'll be
like,
back on this fall when the population comes back up.
Yeah.
They'll turn it back on. You know.
there's an in between there, man. I really hope
they
that they're
might.
striving towards that, whether it be with ranks, whether it be with different tiers, just whatever it is. But it still needs to be worked on.
I
Just
think on the
show-
topic of like skill-based matchmaking and whatnot, a big problem I have within Destiny is that I don't think it's not a surprise to anyone, shouldn't be a surprise to anyone here, that Destiny does not in PvP particularly scale well at like high level competition and play, meaning like the weapons, the abilities, and the balancing typically, in my opinion, doesn't scale very well at the high end. And that is a big reason why I disliked SBMM, because it's in a game mode that has no reason to like win. Like, I don't care about winning to begin with, personally, because there's no incentive or meaning to win. It's supposed to be meaningless, and the game balancing doesn't really scale well, and it's just chaos, but it's trying to make me care about chaos, which I don't care about chaos because there's no reason to care, but it says I should because it's matching me with people that like are at my skill level. It's just weird. I just find it to be really odd.
Well, that's a balancing choice, I say. But like something like Starcraft, and I always use Starcraft this because Starcraft is an example of a game that's balanced really well from like top to bottom. But the reason why they were able to do that is because they balance top down, right? So they balance gameplay at the highest level, and then they let that filter down, and then they tweak things as needed at lower levels, right? But if you balance top down, the solution to cheese is get better. It's always get better, right? Because as long as there's no cheese available at the highest level, if you're like, oh, I'm getting killed by a Zergling Rush in bronze, well, you know, that same Zergling Rush is going to be able to beat you in silver, right? And so the solution always is get better, right? And that not everybody likes to hear that. That's the, you know, the ubiquitous get good that people are just like, that's a shitty thing to say to people, right? But when you balance top down, and the solution to something that is cheesy at silver is get better because at gold you won't lose to that, right? Like when you balance middle out, or like you balance for the average players, you end up with, you know, what Drew is talking about, which it doesn't scale well at a high level. The game is not what I would call balanced at a competitive level, at a pro level. That's why this game isn't an MLG game, you know? It doesn't scale well. At a super high level, cheese can dominate games.
So
And
by
that's
that
not
logic,
fun.
By that logic, Mark, that's my issue. Is like you're throwing me into what's supposed to be like, you know, quick play, or I don't know, control, whatever you want to call it now, a social playlist. You know, anytime I see a ranked playlist, that means the other one typically means it's not ranked. So it's like, this is where you go to play just to play and not care about an outcome. But again, I feel like with SBMM a lot of the time, it's like you're trying to tell me that I should care by matching me with people at my skill level, but in reality, there's nothing to care about. I don't know. Like, I don't mind SBMM in like games that like in scenarios where like it matters. In ranked in Destiny, in like glory playlists, it matters. Even if it was, I'm not saying that I'm like, you know, entertain the idea or not, but even if it was in trials, at least it matters. So like I can justify it, and I can be a lot more okay with it, because there's scenarios where I'm supposed to care about winning and care about the outcome. In ranked, in like other games that have ranked, like, you know, like Halo 5, or, you know, the Halo games as an example, there's an element of SBMM as well. I know, at least in Halo 5, and I'm fine with that, because it's a scenario where I'm supposed to care. But like throwing that at me in a scenario where I'm not supposed to care just puts me in a confusing place, and it just doesn't play well because of the scaling.
Very well put. I think we can all agree that it's not like something that Bungie is going to, quote, fix and then step back and be like, perfect, done with it forever. Like right now they've turned off the SBMM, and they are doing what they do. They're listening, I would imagine, to the very likely tons of user feedback they are getting on that issue from people like us, from, average Joe Titan. Johnny Two Sticks comes home from work. They're getting feedback from everybody. So I'm guessing they're going to take that feedback and use it to better craft the next version of matchmaking, whatever that might be. And whatever that might be, that's not going to be the final version either. It's a living, breathing thing that they are very likely going to keep working on continuously until they feel like they get it right. And then they're going to get more feedback and they're just going to keep going. But, yeah, I think it's important to have these discussions about the connection-based matchmaking and the skill-based matchmaking. It's always important. It's always uncomfortable, but when we have solid group of gentlemen here like we do right now, good opinions, good tone, I like it. I'm much more comfortable talking about it with guys like us who are respectful and open-minded.
I feel like it's good for us to be able to be like, I know a lot of people say like, oh, the only reason people wouldn't want skill-based matchmaking is so they can like stomp new players. And like, I feel all of us are in agreement that like, that's not the reason we wouldn't want skill-based matchmaking. Like there are a multitude of reasons, but like I want what's best for the game as a whole, and crushing new players. And when I was at the first community summit, I forget which one of the Crucible devs I was talking to, but they were like, I hope I don't break NDA on this, but it was basically like, they can track when a player turns off the game and like when they don't ever turn the game back on, or like they haven't turned the game back on. And they were like, one of the most common reasons someone turns Destiny off and never starts Destiny again is a devastating Crucible game, like a game where they just get obliterated. And it's like, those are the things that make people not want to play this game. And like, I don't want that. Like, this is why I don't six stack a lot. Like, I don't want to go into the Crucible and just ruin someone's day so that I can get a faster Mercy. Like, I'm not interested in that. Like, I want to play a fun game, and I want other people to be able to play a fun game too. But when you make super, super strict skill-based matchmaking, pitting me against other people as good as me in 6v6 is a recipe for disaster. And it really ruins what I feel like Destiny is supposed to be. And so, like Cool Guy said, there's a happy median in there somewhere. And we unfortunately just haven't found it yet, but I do have confidence that at some point we'll get closer to it.
Good call. I feel that we will too. Just depends on giving that feedback. So if you're listening at home, wherever you are listening, first of all, thank you for tuning in. And second of all, if you have a thought, if you feel some way about matchmaking, you agree, you disagree with what we've been saying, let us know. Hop on Twitter, hop into the Twitch chat. Let us know what your feelings are on matchmaking. Again, we don't work for Bungie, so let us know within reason. I'll be like, hey, Cool Guy, fix matchmaking, damn it. What am I paying you for? I paid for this game, Cool Guy. Fix it. Don't look at me with that look.
I've shown you the tweets, man. I get some crazy stuff.
Yeah, but we appreciate those who do weigh in. Moving on. Speaking of balancing things from the top down and possibly discussing cheese and the state of the overall game, why don't we talk about the state of the meta? What do you guys think about that?
That's great. What do you got?
I'm ready.
It's definitely a state.
It's gonna be spicy.
And we're all down 600 ARs.
Yeah, I mean, so we're gonna have to split this into like console and PC, right? Because the metas are slightly different, sometimes more significantly so. But one thing that is pretty universal is auto rifles, specifically the 600s are king right now. In control, quick play control for console, auto rifles make up almost 40% of the primary usage. Hand cannons are a distant second at like 16%. Yeah, so as of today, meaning August 5th, they were 38.2% of primary usage. Yeah, and it's pretty much two guns. It's Summoner and Gnawing Hunger. Those are pretty much the only two ones that are being used. So, and then hand cannons.
And hardlight there too, and that probably makes up that entire 40%.
Yeah, and for comparison, can you guys guess what the least used primary on console is?
Scout rifle.
Bows at 1.13%. Scout rifles.
Oh, fan, rise up.
Yeah, scout rifles are actually up at 4%. So they got something going on for them. Yeah, so there is a wide disparity in terms of the primary weapons that are being used on console right now. And I mean, Bungie has already come out and said that they're going to be tuning 600 RPM autos. So depending on the way they do that, it could bring those back down in line. But we'll just have to see. But yeah, right now it is very much definitely on console a 600 RPM auto rifle meta.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Bungie has always said, I mean, this is D1 talk. I mean, some of you are like, oh, wow. But at one point, they did say, when something is the only answer, we need to change something, or something along those lines. It was back when Suros first got nerfed, way back in D1. What's funny about this sandbox is 600s are strong, but I can still do very well using a wide variety of weapons against them. But the thing with those, they're extremely easy to use, right? If you're out in the open, you don't have cover, you're down, right? You're done. We don't know what they're going to do. Like they said, we don't know if it's going to be range. They have a lot of magazine, like 50 rounds, 43 rounds and above. So there's a lot of things that they could do. Is it the be-all, end-all, like D1, like a 2-tap last word? Like a 2-tap Thorn? I don't think so. I really don't. But that doesn't mean that I don't want other things to get better with quality of life changes. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Drew. Go ahead.
I did want to make a quick shout out. Within the top 10 weapons, I guess top 10 being top 5 kinetic and top 5 energy. Of course, there's a lot of the autos that you would expect: Suros, Gnawing Hunger, Summoner, Hard Light. But Vigilance Wing. I think that one's a really cool. I guess at this point, rogue or anti-meta type pick that has like almost a pseudo quality of an AR in terms of forgiveness and consistency, but supplies you with the burst damage that they wouldn't be able to compete with. So I actually think that is a pretty cool sleeper pick up there. And then for hand cannons, there's Last Word and Dire Promise as well. But anyways, just wanted to bring that information. Go on, follow it.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. I love the Vigwing. I use it all the time. It's a fantastic weapon. Yep. Yeah, I don't think it's the end-all, be-all. Meaning, like, use this or you're pretty much guaranteed to fail. I fight against a lot of people who use great weapons in trials. You know what I mean? Great weapons. I actually got beaten while doing a flawless carry. We ended up getting the guy flawless, but we were trying to help a guy, and we fought against a dude using a bow. And it wasn't the Monarch. It was the Wish Ender, the one that can give you Hanzo vision. He was pairing that with the Not Forgotten. So the game plan was peek through the wall with the Wish Ender. Oh, they're coming around the corner, and he had his armor tweaked in such a way where he maxed out his hand cannon handling. So it was tag with the arrow, fastest switch to a hand cannon ever, boom, done. You know what I mean? And he rocked, man. He slayed out. So it's not that they're definitely the end-all be-all option, but they have so much going for them. Dear God, it's like, how much can we put on this end of the scale? So look, they have a phenomenal time to kill, right? Great versatility. You can use an auto rifle up close. You can compete with a pulse or a scout rifle. You can flinch snipers out of their scope with an auto rifle. Great time to kill. Super ease of use. If you're trying to use something like Ace of Spades, you know what I mean? You miss a hand cannon shot, you're in big trouble because you have to really be on point. You got to be bam, 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 put them down. You miss one auto rifle bullet, who cares? It's like missing someone with one drop.
You're gonna 0.9. You're gonna 0.8, then a 0.9. That's 2 bullets missed. I think it's like a 0.9 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It's like you just miss one bullet out of an auto rifle. Who cares? You're spraying at them anyway with a hose of bullets, right? And on top of that, you have the Gnawing Hunger, which I am like drowning in Umbral engrams. Like I get to the tower, I fly in, they're like, "Hey, welcome to the tower. Here's like 12 Umbral engrams." I'm like, "Cool." And it's like, and you can just go to the Prismatic Recaster, turn them in, and get a Gnawing Hunger. It's a 50% chance that you have one, which is great. I like the way we can earn loot, but it's like when that is such a strong option, who would be, unless you have a very specific weapon that you're like, ah, yes, I would like that gun to add to my collection. Terrific. Just stay in the vault. I'm a trophy hunter. What do I do now? I guess I'll just get a million zillion Gnawing Hungers because it's a beautifully perfect gun in PvP and it can wreck people. Like, it's too much in one column. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
overtuned.
Yeah,
They
I
were.
think that it's weird to me because we're talking about like, is it the be all and end all? I think that gnawing or auto rifles, the 600 auto rifles, summoner and gnawing hunger, in my opinion, being the best. I think that they are kind of like the path of least resistance right now. In many ways, like I mean, like Follow, you talked about like how forgiving they are. They're both incredibly forgiving, and they have high potential. But also in the other way of like you mentioned, gnawing hunger is just kind of like thrown at you in so many ways. It's like I do think summoner is better than gnawing hunger, but it's so accessible to get such a great gnawing hunger without like with just playing the most basic form of Destiny. So it definitely feels like the path of least resistance, uh, for I'd imagine for most players in terms of effectiveness in PvP and just obtaining a good weapon to start with. Personally though, I don't know. I even tried to throw on an auto rifle the other night. Like I get it. It looks forgiving. I see, some silliness going on with like my bullets. Even like I can see them bending towards the targets. But man, I am not good with them. I don't know if it's I'm not good with them or I dislike their skill ceiling. I think that hand cannons still have a higher skill ceiling. They demand a lot more of you compared to autos. Like you said, if you miss or if you are not playing cover effectively and making like very meticulously good decision making, you're probably gonna die or you're gonna lose. But I can't get away from the skill. Like I feel like hand cannons just still have a higher skill ceiling, and every time I take out an auto and try and use it, like I'm just missing it.
Also, True Vanguard was talking about it too, and I agree. It's very frustrating to know that you're using a precision weapon. That could even be a scout. That could be a precision sidearm, right? That could be, and you have zero leniency. And even if you do hit your TTK, it's still slower than some of these auto rifles. Go ahead, Mark.
So, well, as I say, is this is a problem that Bungie has brought upon themselves. They crushed hand cannon range so badly because they were so scared for a long time of hand cannons with like that borderline infinite range that they had where they were competing with scout rifles. They have now crushed hand cannon range down so badly that Summoner can pretty much outrange almost all hand cannons, right? And Summoner is easy to use. And for comparison, the TTK on adapters right now is pretty much as strong or stronger as it's ever been in the history of Destiny. So we have an entire sandbox of primary weapons that are weaker than they've ever been. And then we have adaptive auto rifles that are stronger than they've ever been. It doesn't necessarily take a statistician or something to figure out like these are going to be what people use, and they're super forgiving. So, if you don't want to have, number one, adaptive ARs need to come down a bit. Like they should not be killing in 0.7 seconds. No auto rifle should be killing in more than faster than 0.8 seconds. Number two, hand cannons are ridiculously unforgiving compared to what they were in D1, when lightweights took 2 crits in a body, adaptives took 1 crit in 2 bodies, right? Like now they both take 3 crits, which is crazy to me. And then in addition, their range is legitimately like 10 meters less than it was in D1, which puts them smack dab in the middle of auto rifle range. So they've suffered this compression of the sandbox where they've cut down range so much. And it's because, in fairness, I believe that there is a more exciting style of gameplay when everything is kind of closer up to you. If everybody could sit at Mida range and just plink away with a Mida, the game isn't very fun. We've actually seen that in D2. It was not a very fun sandbox. But in order to try to prevent people from doing that, they've compressed everything. Now pretty much every super strong primary is like 30 meters or less, or like 25 meters or less. They all work in the exact same range. And so you have ridiculous overlap. And so, of course, 90% of players, I shouldn't say 90, I should say 40% of players pick the easiest gun to use. And there it goes.
I mean, I think that with the auto rifles, though, going back to my point and piggybacking off what you said, kind of responding to that, I think that the auto rifles are probably like very good at mid to like average to above average play, level play, in terms of like player skill. Again, because I think that they're just the path of least resistance. Like you're able to like net some really fast kills. They're super forgiving, but I don't think that I don't think they hold up at top level play. I'm not saying that they don't need to be touched. I think that they should be brought down, like you said. But I do think at like really high level play, like can still, in my opinion, have a higher skill ceiling that like will, like, don't get me wrong, an auto rifle player is gonna melt a hand cannon player, or like, you know, grab that quick kill or capitalize on them being even like an inch out of cover or like the wrong play. Which again, I think it's just a bit too easy to punish with that. However, I still think that hand cannons have like a higher skill ceiling, and that's what again keeps me from using these.
Here's a little something on that. I don't know if we want to dive down this rabbit hole a little bit, but
absolutely, just go.
So the times where I do find myself playing D2 on PC, which is fairly often, I feel very comfortable using a whole wide variety of hand cannons with and without my controller. I can do it with M&K, can do it with controller. I love Thorn on PC, man. So good. But then when you switch over to the land of console, which I do every week, it just feels different. I don't know if it's the FOV squeezing me in or if it's something changing up the way, like it trips up the way I play a little bit, to the point where I find it more easy to make a mistake on console, to the point where it's another path of least resistance where I'm like, oh man, I just like, Thorn feels better on PC, man. Like I have more, like, you know, because the FOV is further back, I feel like there's more control over the recoil or something like that. And like I'm like on console, I'm like, I'm just gonna put on the Gnawing Hunger. Like I don't want to deal with another obstacle getting in my way, which I think might be leading, I don't know if I'm the only one who feels that way, but it's just like pushing me towards an auto rifle again when I'm on console.
Are you playing controller on both? Is that what the comparison
I do
is?
controller on both, and I do sometimes when I'm feeling wild, I'll break out M&K. But yeah, it is controller on both.
I mean, with M&K, it's just they have better stability flat out.
That's a different thing. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
the recoil is so easy to control. But when I'm doing controller, let's keep it apples to apples. Controller on PC to controller on console, I feel like hand cannons lose a little something in translation.
It's probably the field of view would probably be the biggest. I mean, I don't know, Drew. This is your thing. You play controller on PC all the time. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say that, like, do we want to kind of segue into like a little bit of the difference in the PC meta from like the numbers? It's largely the same. It's largely the same. It's just in the kinetic slot what you have the main difference. You're not Gnawing Hunger slot 26%, and you have like autos like Suros Regime holding like 5%. Summoners up there with surprisingly only 1%, so it's not as popular, oddly enough. But in the kinetic slot we have Dire Promise. That's like the leading hand cannon. It's actually the only hand cannon on this whole leaderboard here of weapons in the metagame. That's with about 12% usage. So obviously there is a bigger case for hand cannons, and it's probably that, you know, higher level play or players that, you know, see the value in that and want to use that as well. In terms of how I feel going from console to PC, I know I don't go on console much anymore. I do believe it's 100% an FOV thing. I think the frames help like a little bit just to like the smoother animation feels easier on the eyes.
Yeah.
In some ways, I feel like sometimes it gives you a little bit more to interpret smoothly. I don't know if that's just me, but I think FOV is the biggest thing where you're not so zoomed in. Things don't like, you know, it doesn't feel quite as jarring. You've ever taken a magnifying glass to something and trying to read text, it looks gigantic. It's in your face, and then when you step back, you can probably, you know.
Because I mean,
I don't know if that's a good analogy, but
no, it's a good analogy. I mean, think about it this way. Let's pretend if you logged on to console right now and you were constrained to the most comically ridiculous tunnel vision FOV imaginable. Like if you literally, they glued a telescope to your Guardian and like you were so zoomed in, the recoil on your weapon would be like unmanageable. Like you'd be so thrown off by how everything would work. And then if you went to super, let's bring it back, like you're double what FOV is on PC. You know what I mean? You're way back. And the recoil would probably be so small in comparison. There has to be something in translation there, which I don't want to turn this into a whole PC and console thing. I just find that when I'm on PC, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, even with controller, like hand cannon, like yeah, I'm in there. But then when I go to PS4 or Xbox One, I'm like it's just, it doesn't feel as good. I'm just gonna go with the auto rifle, and I feel like there might be something to that driving up the auto rifle numbers even further on console.
Yeah. I think that that's a big reason why auto rifles are used more. Again, it's more that path of least resistance. Like if I were to go on console, I'm still gonna use a hand cannon. Like nothing can change my mind on that. The type of player I am is if I see value in something, I'm just gonna play it. I'm gonna make it work because I see value in it. and that's just how I play the game. And I think it's just on me to make that work, and my personal skill. But otherwise, like I think that's a totally valid reason why people use auto rifles more often. Even that kind of recoil alone, because there's more margin of error, essentially, more demand for you to perform with a hand cannon. I will say though, I know we've only got it for a season left, but in all fairness, auto rifles are being adjusted. I believe that's next season. I think Not Forgotten is still the hand cannon to me. Like it's the best controller hand cannon. It has all the benefits of a 180 RPM or precision, which means higher accuracy, less bloom, better performance in the air. It's just an overall accuracy buff. That also in turn gives you more ability to land headshots. And the recoil is like manageable to me because Not Forgotten still exists against these 600 RPM autos. Yes, inherently hand cannons are going to demand more of you, but in my opinion, I think you still have the outlet to use a hand cannon. Maybe it's the only one for most players that's going to like truly be of worthy competition for these autos. But even if the only one, I do think that's the weapon that could stand up to them.
It will change. I mean, not too long ago, we were talking about Uriel's Gift and Mida. And, then after that, it was V-Wing. And then after that, I mean, so we're here on auto rifles. It's going to get changed. And I think there's only like one 110 hand cannon moving forward. It's a true prophecy. There's only one, like, for the year, right? There are two 90 RPM snipers that I can think of. That's Long Shadow and Eye of Soul, unless you guys can think of any more. Right? So, like, yeah. What is it?
No, I'm saying no. I was agreeing. I can't think of any.
So, like, if you look down the line, like, a lot of archetypes, like, only have, like, a weapon moving forward, or maybe two. So it leads me to believe that over the next year, we're going to be getting a lot of new stuff, right? So I would imagine that they're going to shake up the meta again. And while, yes, right now 600 ARs are running the show, they already said that they're going to adjust them. And, like, right now, like, to anybody listening, like, there's no gentleman's game. Like, use what you want, dude. It's strong. I don't fault you for using it, right? A lot of times when I use a hand cannon too, like, it makes you a little bit more sharp as a hand cannon user, honestly. Like, you can't be out in the open. Like, if you were to do like a Pokemon versus battle, like, bam, Gnawing Hunger, bam, Dire Promise. It literally is 0.7, 0.8. Like, it loses on paper, you know? So, it can make you a lot better player using hand cannons in this current meta. But if you're using the ARs right now, it just, you float through it, man. Like, I don't fault anybody for using it. Like, 'cause it's going to shift and people move on to the next best thing.
Yeah. Oh, don't correct me. I mean, or don't get me wrong on that issue. Like, you can use whatever. I'm still a believer of ye old credo. Use whatever, don't apologize. It's on.
Yeah. I love it.
Dusting off that golden oldie. It's up to Bungie to provide a balanced game experience. You know what I mean? I'm not going to fault Johnny Two Sticks for coming home after a long day of work. He's only got half an hour to play with the boys. You know, I'm not going to shame him and be like, use a Dire Promise or you're a trash scumbag blueberry. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, man. He paid $60 for the game. He can use a Gnawing Hunger. But, like, I just think that once we're looking at a chart, like we're looking at right now, that it's like, yeah, 40% of people are picking this one gun. It's like, yeah, it's time. I think it might be time to do a little tweakage here and there. You know what I'm saying?
I take matters into my own hands. When the game starts, I send a message to everyone on my team and on the other team. I tell them what they can use so it's perfectly balanced so that we don't have to run into this issue. But I, of course, always end up using the 600 AR because that's only fair. And then, everyone else gets the bow or the scout rifle and we go from there.
It also goes to say the loot loop, man. Like, I like the Umbral system because you can play literally anything that you want. You can go to the Prismatic and, like you said, 50-50 shot of the Gnawing Hunger. A lot of people are going that because, because I'm doing a video on sniper rifles right now. Like, Supremacy is an awesome sniper, dude. Second highest aim assist in the game. You have to raid to get it, right? And a lot of players don't do that. Sure, you can enter in the wishes. You can go get the chest. Eye of Soul is a fantastic sniper rifle. It has everything that you need. It has snapshot vorpal. Any situation that you get into, it's a 90 RPM and it can get it done. But it's one of the hardest weapons to get in the entire game. That particular role, right? The loot loop for a lot of things is just, I wouldn't say, it's kind of inaccessible for a lot of people. It really is. We saw that in the first week the Astral Horizon came out, dude. What do you guys think about that? Like, I think that this Umbral system is like the future of Destiny. I wish more things would be like that, more quest type things, or what was the where Saladin's Vigil came from in D1?
Iron Banner. Wait, where? Oh no, the oh my god, the Siva Fallen, the little Archon's Forge.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
There needs to be more things
right,
like that with
right.
specific loot. Like the forges are a great idea,
Sure.
but we're moving on with the forges. But like, I would like more great weapons coming from things like that, dude.
Yeah, that would be fine. Again, I didn't want to complain earlier when I said that the Gnawing Hunger was dinky donk easy to farm for, because I'm sure that a lot of people are happy about it. And it's like, I like being able to acquire, like, here's a gun I want to get. Oh, look, it's not insane to get that gun, right? But it's like when it becomes such a powerful option in the sandbox and you're comparing it with a bunch of other stuff, which is like trash in comparison. It's like, you got to go for the Gnawing Hunger. It's just, a better balanced playing field. It's like, and then everyone is happier with the way we acquire loot that way. There's no complaining then, because it's like, oh, there's easy ways to get loot. It's not insanely challenging, and there are more than just one or two options crushing the meta.
Yeah, I mean, straight up, I think Forward Path is better than Gnawing Hunger. That's my personal opinion, but it's almost impossible to get a Forward Path, right? Like, I've gotten 3 Forward Paths and 2 Iron Banners so far, and I've gotten 300 Gnawing Hungers. Like, I can't help but get a Gnawing Hunger every day.
Dude, every day?
With some type of damage boosting perk and stability perks, and like, it's like, oh, another God Roll one, I'll stick it in the vault with the other 16 I have, just in case, right? Like, I don't even pay attention to them anymore. I legitimately think the Forward Path, granted, different slots, kinetic slots, opposed to energy, so it doesn't really matter. But the Forward Path has long zoom scopes. Like, I play Galliard 42 right now. The reason I play Galliard 42 is the long zoom scopes.
Indeed.
So I can use it at a different engagement distance, than you can use a Gnawing Hunger, because a Gnawing Hunger doesn't have that ability to modify the zoom. The only option I have moving forward is a Forward Path if I want to do that. Right, granted, I can't use my beloved Bastion anymore if I use Forward Path, which is unfortunate. But if those two guns were exactly the same on paper and everything, people would still be using the Gnawing Hunger more, because you get 10 of them a day and you get 1 Forward Path a month. So
Yeah, dude, I dropped my wallet in between my car seats. I pulled out a Gnawing Hunger when I reached down, dude. Like, they're just everywhere, dude. Everywhere.
and you didn't even want it. You stuck it
I
back
didn't
down
even
there
want
after
it.
you're done. It's like,
Yeah, it's
oh
like,
god, was this like an old fry?
Yeah.
Oh
God.
my god.
It's got dried Diet Coke all over it. I don't even want it anymore.
It's like, it's got
So
armor
question.
Well, let's take the topic that we're going with right now, like what's hot in the meta, current state of the meta. Let's take it from guns. Let's go over to subclasses. How do we feel about that? Are there any subclasses that are way too spicy? And I think there are.
Turns
And
out,
what's not getting enough love?
I mean,
Do you
turns
want to go
out
over numbers first, Merc?
Night
I
Stalker.
think that's what you're
Yeah.
about to do.
I mean, so there's
number.
3. So we're using guardian.gg right now if you guys want to be able to follow along with this, and also do these experimentations for yourself, because it helps to be able to look at things. It gives you a bigger picture of what's going on in the Crucible, and also it helps to counter some of the internal biases that you may have where you're like, oh my god, I'm getting killed by 1 million strikers every single game. It's like, striker's actually not the most popular subclass, although it is up there, right? But if you're looking for the last month, so that we can talk recent statistics here, in terms of popularity, Night Stalker is a surprisingly popular subclass. Over the last month, 16% of players in PvP.
All right, continue, but I take issue with that word, but go on.
Okay, well, 16% of players are probably using Spectral Blade, is really what they're using. No other subclass has more than 10% usage. And in fact, there are 2 subclasses that are at 5% or lower, being Sunbreaker and Sentinel. So that theory you had in your head about Titans getting low love, it may actually be true. And that theory you had in your head about Hunters being pretty common in PvP, that might also be true. So
Yeah, man. Look, let's talk about Spectral Blade for like a hot minute here, and I don't want to talk.
I can talk Fallout.
Drew
I
can.
can talk about Spectral Blade.
You can talk about here. I'm gonna pass the torch to you, because Drew is our resident Spec Blade main. This kid
Abuser.
pops off, but yeah, when I'm doing trials carries, and someone joins my fire team, and they're a hunter, and they're like, "Hey, Fallout, what do you recommend I use?" Like, I love to play Blade Barrage. I'm like, how about you don't do that? I was like, I've never been to the lighthouse before. I was like, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna pop on Spec Blade. You're gonna crank that intellect up to 100, and you are going to team shot me. team shot with me, because Spec Blade is such a stupid easy super to use, and the rest of the class is great. Like it's very strong on paper. If you pop Spec Blade in trials, it's if you have it and they have nothing hard to shut it down with. If they don't have like a Nova Bomb or something, unless you make a big mistake, you can very easily end the round on a win, generate orbs for the teammates. It is a very strong subclass, and I always recommend that people I'm running with who have never gotten to the Lighthouse before give it a try, because it is so strong. And I'm going to take that torch, pass it to Drew, because he could probably talk way more about it than me.
What specifically about it? Like, we're just talking about how good it is?
Strength of anything. Well, I've already talked about the strength
Why
of the
is
super
it so
game. Why don't you talk about
why
the
does
strength
it
of the
people use
neutral
it?
game? Because I know it's strong.
I think it's... I don't know. Like, I think the super is very powerful. I think it's moderately easy to make some sort of usage of. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's not easy. Like, to get, like, basic results out of, like, sure. It's the super with the highest DR while in camo, right? And it... because of the camo also doesn't appear on the radar. You just have that little screen effect when you're being approached by one if you're using it correctly. So it has a very high skill ceiling because of that, and it's decently easy to pick up and do well with. I think the neutral game is strong. I don't think it's like I don't believe that a lot of people are probably majority of the time making use of the camo and the flawless execution. I think people are mainly playing it for the super because of like the results you can get it with it relatively easily. I think the wombo combo is another one that like people probably really like. Yeah, right. Cool guy. One thing about Spectral Blades, why I use it so much, I'm in love with the entire kit of that like class. Like, even if I didn't get wall hacked on a headshot and I just got longer camo, I'd do it for the longer camo. I love camo. In the neutral game, but the super I think actually has the best matchup against the majority of supers in the game. I'm very confident I can beat like nearly every single super in the game with Spectral Blades. So I'm not sure if that's how other people use it, but you can, I don't know, like a lot of the time when I'm playing with cam and sides, I'm the person that holds my super because I'm fairly confident that I can beat nearly every super in the game with it. It has an insane ability to shut down other supers while also being able to just, get quick kills with crazy movement. Like the fact that you can swipe, like you can do the light swipe in different directions, then you can mix in a dodge, you can do the backflip, which is not only a way to close the gap, it's an evasive movement. It has such a crazy toolkit to work with in that super, which makes it very strong.
Swiss Army knife, because you can use it to pop off. Do we need to win the round, clear the other team before they get any supercharge? Do it. Do they have a roaming super and they're coming at us hard? Yeah, counter pop, bro, because you have the camo, you have that crazy strong uppercut, and because they might not see you coming,
to shut down other supers, but I'm not gonna talk about that.
You can just fly right in because you have like, I don't know, the arc staff hunter running in. He doesn't see you. Your teammates are already, team shooting him. You pop out, boom, uppercut from the camo, and it's like it's over. And it's very forgiving. Like, it's very easy to mess up a blade barrage. It is very easy. I will say at the tip top, Golden Gun is crazy good. Tip top. If you are a hunter who really knows what they're doing, Golden Gun will ruin people. I see so many people in trials who have like watched their favorite players montage and they're like, I want to be just like Mikowski. Like, go into trials with my Golden Gun, and they don't know how to use it. They pop it, and I'm like, I'm just telling my teammates, man, I'm like, all right, they pop their Goldie like on spawn. Yeah, it's just
sit here.
Go sit in the corner and count count to 8. Okay, we're good. They get no kills with it, but the duration for Spec Blade, it's so long, and you get the camo and the wall hacks and the damage resistance. It's like I think the really hard to make a mistake.
DR needs to go down.
Yeah, I would probably agree.
Yes.
It has so many things going for it. So many.
The DR of all roaming supers needs to go down. So this goes back, we talked earlier about how primary weapons are like weaker than they've ever been. And special weapons are also weaker than they've ever been. Conversely, roaming supers are like the strongest they've ever been. Like, we have roaming supers in D2 that if we'd had in D1, number one, we would have been able to melt them, but it would have been mind-blowing how good the supers were. And like now in D2, it's just like, oh, another, you know, another Arc Strider, another Spectral Blades, another Dawn Blade, another Striker. Like, they're all roaming supers, and they're all really, really, really tanky and really, really, really long lasting and really, really, really powerful.
Yeah.
A lot of the one and dones aren't doing their job. I mean, we talked about Blade Barrage, dude. Like, especially when I'm an Arc Strider mid tree, I laugh at Novas, dude. Novas can't kill me. Like, they just, no matter what they do, they cannot kill me. So, I would like to see Blade Barrage buffed up a little bit. I don't know about you guys.
I think the original nerf was kind of unnecessary. Like, Blade Barrage was good, but I don't think it was good enough to suffer the type of nerf, especially in PvP, that it did. Like, it was like, I used Blade Barrage all the time. Like, it was pretty good. It was a shutdown super. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. If I had 3 people capturing a point, I could run up and Blade Barrage them, or if I saw a super running towards me, I could super them, and it was nice. But now it's like, I legitimately, and outside of your clip that I saw earlier today, cool guy on Twitter, I was thinking, I don't remember the last time I saw a Blade Barrage in PvP. Like, it has to have been weeks since I've seen one.
A lot of it was the shards with Spectral Blade. A lot of it was the Gwaizen. A lot of it was the Ursa with the Titan, right? You just don't see those anymore. So, yeah, I would like some of the one and done supers to be a little bit better.
Can we talk a little bit about... Oh, I'm sorry, Drew, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm a middle ground with Blade Barrage. I think that before it lacked some sort of intention. I feel it was too forgiving. Like, you can kind of just like toss, like, even on like MNK especially, you can just kind of like toss those things, like those volleys anywhere and get like crazy amount of kills. I like that it takes a little bit more intention now, but I do think it's on the weaker side. It needs to be a little stronger. Like, I think it should be intentional, but right now it's like, yeah, it's kind of not killing things.
I'm looking at guardian.gg right now. If you want to read along at home about what are the popular and not popular classes, Sunbreaker, man, whew, what are they doing? They need a little help, boys.
That's funny.
Surprising to me.
They are just shockingly low on the
It's
chart.
not as bad as
maybe
people
not
think
shockingly.
they are. Honestly,
Yeah,
like,
they're
they're okay. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the supers that in Spectral Blades I say I can't beat it no matter what I do.
Actually, that is a very good counter to the Spec Blade. The hammers are quite strong. I do think that would be next level, like 5,000 IQ plays. If like you go in, it's like, oh, they're all Spec Blade. Time to get on the Burning Hammer, you know, just to counter their super with my.
My thing is, they're vulnerable to Revokers, and Revoker's super popular right now. Like, they're a very immobile super as far as it goes. Like, they're very much a run in a straight line super, whereas Arc Strider's not, Spectral Blades isn't.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The best roaming supers, I feel, are the ones that they give you either great mobility or survivability. Like, let's go down the line. You got Spec Blade. You got great movement because you can dodge as a hunter. You got camo, and you can zigzag with light swiping. Arc Staff, you can dodge forever, and that one part of the tree is like, oh, you take less damage when you can basically twirl into battle. It's like Cirque du Soleil. Like, they're not going to touch you, and you just take their head off with a pole, right?
Constantly breaking aim assist, just the whole way there.
Breaking aim assist the whole way there. You got mid-tree Arc Staff. You can dodge and you can twirl and block, right? Top tree Stormcaller. You can Ionic Blink. Top tree Dawn Blade. You can do a little Icarus Dash movement a little bit. Nova Warp. You can blink in Nova Warp. What does the Sunbreaker have? Just you're running in a straight line. You got to be really
slowly forwards.
Yeah, the meme hammer, the burning meme can twirl into battle, but like the top tree, bottom tree Sunbreaker, I think you're right. They're super weak to Revoker. They just kind of run around the corner like, all right, fingers crossed, let's do this, boys.
Float slowly through the air, like towards you. It's like, oh, cool.
Bottom tree strikers are really slippery too, man. That are matching.
They are. Yeah, they are. They're kind of
RB.
wild. Yeah. And again, it just adds into the theory that they need a little something to help them move better or be more beefy, right? They need a little something. And on that note, I don't know if Guardian.gg can break this down into individual subclass. I don't think it
Unfortunately
can.
not.
I can't know.
Lame.
But I mean, you can kind of pretty much tell like what is being used.
Yeah,
in
we just know. I mean, like, here's what I'm thinking right now. For Stormcaller, Every Stormcaller I fight in Trials is top tree. Every time, without question. If they're middle tree, it's like, ooh, they're doing something fancy. They're trying to maybe get a bunch of arc grenades because they get the little beam of light that comes to them on the ground. I can't remember what that perk is called.
Ionic Trace.
There you go, Ionic Trace. They're trying something fancy. Ooh, they're trying to cancel the Chaos Reach to get their supercharge back faster. They're trying to, if they're top tree, they're a sweat. If they're a middle tree, they're trying something unique. They'll probably regret it later. And if they're bottom tree, they don't know what they're doing. And I might be upsetting a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. I love George, the official name of the Arc Buddy. Please make that happen. George the Arc Buddy. I love that guy. He's fun. He's great. If I'm really trying to win in Trials, I'm leaving George on the bench.
Even
and
the supercharged Arc Buddy, but
not
he does
the
like
not the
2
crack
damage
buddy,
per shot.
not the crack buddy. The what is it called? The escape artist gauntlets. Those are great. Just the default basic Arc Buddy from bottom tree. Like if I'm, again, I hate to keep bringing this up, but if I'm doing Trials carries and we go into a game and I'm looking at the carry, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, he's a Stormcaller. That's like a really great super. If you're trying to learn how to play Warlock, very much recommend that you begin on top tree Storm because the super is very strong and it's not difficult to use. So we go into a game, I'm like, nice, dude, he's a Stormcaller. I don't have to worry about him like being Nova Bomb and whiffing a Nova Bomb or something. And then he drops a Rift and I get an Arc Buddy. I'm like, no, go top tree, please. Because you pop Storm bottom tree and you can't do anything. You glide around the corner and you just get popped. Like all you have to do is kind of jump and cross your fingers that they maybe won't snipe you, but you're very vulnerable bottom tree.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we could probably go down this list and be like, if you're looking at Arc Strider, what do you think is the most popular Arc Strider subclass right now? That one might be slightly more difficult, but
so
bottom tree is definitely more so the
bottom tree, I would say.
Popular one.
Yeah. Dude, top tree is very underrepresented. Top tree is extremely good.
Yeah,
Deadly
but
Reach,
super
getting your health back.
The super just doesn't compare. It's too easy to kill.
Yep.
I love that tree so much. And back when Assassin's Cal used to work in super, I played it again because I'm like, oh my god, my super can hang again. But I mean, that was very broken for other supers. But my point is, the super is very bad.
All right, so sorry, cool guy, go ahead.
Tether still needs to be fixed, man. Like if dead body, like Dude Marcher can hit me through walls, like immediately. Tether can do that too, dude. Like whatever you're coded, to get the Dude Marcher chain, put that on Tether, man. As soon as the arrow hits the ground, just imagine it's a Dude Marcher chain.
Please don't get me started on this because I main, Invis Dodge, Hunter, and Tether is a garbage super. I have direct hit supers and still been killed by the super after I've direct hit them. You shoot it at the ground, you have time to walk out of the radius of the tether before the tether activates. And I hate it so much. It is the most useless super.
So I play with my good buddy Joey. Shout out to Joey. Love that guy. He is a Nova Warp, which is a criminally underrated super. I mean, you have to use it with the helmet that lets you blink way further. What is that? The Astrocyte Verse. If you have that, very strong. If you don't have that helmet, it's kind of bad. But he will literally go out of his way to challenge a hunter with tether, because what happens is, even if they have the good tether, which is like the big range, not the multi-shot tether, they'll fire it. He'll be coming at them in his roaming super. They will fire it at the ground. He has time before the tether takes him out of his super to charge a Nova Warp, detonate it, which does two things. It kills the Guardian and it blows up the tether.
I know. It's if you shoot a Antaeus Ward's Titan, the tether just vanishes. Literally just vanishes. If you shoot a blocking Whirlwind Guard Hunter, vanishes. Literally just vanishes. It is so incredibly frustrating. I have literally found the best way to use tether is to shoot it somewhere, that someone won't expect it and then just fucking run away.
Right.
And hope that someone walks into it and you can go back there and kill them like they're a cockroach
Like at the
stuck
top
in a trap
of
or something.
the outer top edge of like a door frame. Like
Yeah.
they're never gonna look.
Yeah, and hope that they can't see the blinking purple light that is like showing them where the tether is, and that they walk around the corner and get trapped by it. Like that is the only way I found to use tether. It is so frustratingly bad. I hate it so much.
Yeah, like I always tell people, get the tether out as quickly as possible. Shoot it on the wall, floor, ceiling. Just like do not be up in the air, because if you've ever seen, I don't know if any of you have used Bottom Tree Mobius Quiver in recent games, but dude, if you ever see one, they're rare. They're out there. I know you guys are out there that use Bottom Tree. It is the saddest thing you've ever seen, dude. Like even if they're an extremely good player, next time you see a Bottom Tree Night Stalker, and you hear them pop their super, follow them, dude. It's the saddest thing you've ever seen. It really is, dude.
As they just float through the air and slowly shoot these useless tethers that go all over the
Dude,
place.
no. Like they don't make it out alive. But,
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so bad. I'm sure there's something to be said about. There's probably, if there was someone at Bungie listening right now, they would be like, "Well, tether's really good in PvE." Which, to be fair, like you're shaking your head. No,
No, I know. I mean, I'm sure it is, but like you increasing the activation speed of tether isn't going to break it in PvE, right? Like there are things you could do.
That's fair.
To make it better for PvP.
That is very
and not
fair.
to mention like your momentum as you're like in the air floating and you activate it, like you just shoot like a pipe hanging down in front of you or like the side of a doorway because it's like,
That is
oh, I'm
the
going to
most
jump through the doorway
frustrating
and shoot
thing.
it. It's like, nope, holds all your momentum.
Yeah.
Shoot it into the side of the
shoot
doorway.
off center as well.
Yes, yeah, and it will track someone. So if I'm trying to shoot it somewhere really accurately, if anyone within 100 meters walks near it, it like 90-degree angles to change to like follow that person. It doesn't even hit them. It just like kind of follows them enough to where it doesn't go where I want to shoot it. Like I have a million frustrations and they're all tethered.
They're all tethered.
99 problems and they're literally all
Yeah,
tethered.
I don't know why. I just don't know why they programmed in like the Tokyo Drift that you're talking about. Where like I've literally fallen off the map because I'm trying to like back up and like, you know, oh, here we go, shoot and like I just drift like 8 meters backwards like into a place that I don't want to be.
That's my most hated part of it, I think. I'm that guy that tries to use the multi-tether and I just drift into the abyss.
That's even worse. You can go
It's
across
just
the map
so
with the
hardcore.
multi-tether. You can fly with that unintentionally.
Let's not talk about tether anymore.
Lord in heaven, what would you do in a perfect world? I'm imagining you would make the tether activation time much quicker, right?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Would activate instantly, like it would hit and it would be like a blast radius where the second it hit, it activated, right? Like
Yeah.
that would be if you just made that change. I could probably stomach all of the other things. If you just made that change, I legitimately believe it'd be a good super for PvP. Like it would be good. The subclass itself is very strong, so you know I think that would probably be the only thing that you would need to do. I would deal with all those other frustrations. I would deal with the momentum, with the weird tracking. Like I would deal with all those other things if it just had suppression grenades, man. Like make it like a suppression grenade. When a suppression grenade detonates, it detonates in a radius immediately. Like please just make tether function that same way.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think that would give people an actual reason to use it. And then the class would feel good overall because right now I use it only for camo. Like if I ever want to meme on people or have fun with camo and just do some kind of interesting loadout focused around being Batman or a ninja, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go for tether. But like every time my super comes up, I just get sad because like if you get it and pull it off, you're like, oh, thank God I got that and it worked, rather than all these other supers, which are just guaranteed fun. Like, can't you just make the tether a little bit more fun? Make it fun. All the other supers are guaranteed fun, baby. And cool guy, what do you got?
You say meme on people, but dude, like it feels like 80% of my opponents in trials are Wormhusk top tree hunters. Like I feel that
Really?
is one of the
80%?
most widely used subs for trials.
It's good for trials. Like that's what I use. The ability to go invis, people don't use it the right way. Like people dodge invis. So I shouldn't say this. Very good players use it the right way. There are a lot of players out there who use invis who don't know what they're doing with invis and it doesn't help them at all. They wait till they see a ping on the radar and then they dodge, right? Well, at that point in time, if your opponent's watching the radar, he already knows where your ping was. He just heard your dodge. He just saw the ping disappear. There's only a limited number of places you can be coming from if you ping from a certain direction, and now your ping is gone, right?
Right.
And most people don't go invis and then just sit there and do nothing. So good players will still know exactly where you are and exactly where you're coming from. And especially with the AR meta, you're going to be coming around that corner on the ground, right? So, and if you're holding a special weapon, you still have the glow in your hands. So everybody can still see you when you come around. Like, people don't even notice that. Like, oh, I've got my shotgun out and I'm invisible. It's like, congrats, I can see your bright ass glow as you run towards me. Like, you're not as invisible as you think you are, right? So like, you need to have a primary weapon out if you think someone's going to be looking at you. But secondarily, like, the invis lasts just long enough to where you can dodge when you are just outside of radar range, and you will literally never show up on the opponent's radar until you've closed in on them. And a lot of times in trials, I'll run around the corner. I had this happen when Javelin 4 was the map. I had two guys looking down outside sniping, and I literally rounded the corner, and both of them were hard scoped down the hallway, literally not even looking at me because they never saw a ping on the radar to their left. They thought everybody went outside. I flanked them. They were just unprepared for it, right? And granted, you know, they're not top 1% players, so it's not going to happen to every single person. But you can use invis effectively if you practice it enough and you start to get used to it. It's not going to help you in 6v6 because there's a million players on the map, and you know, you're going to run into someone around a corner while you're invis. It's not going to help you very much. But it is better than people give it credit for. The super just sucks so much that in trials, which people max intellect, and like, your super is a round winner, and when tether sucks and can be killed by other supers, you can shoot it at a bottom tree striker, they can smash and destroy the tether and then keep going.
Yep.
Like, it's so ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, you can handicap yourself super wise, but if you're a good player, you can use the invis. The neutral game, I personally believe the neutral game is one of the strongest in the game.
I'll give you that. It is very strong. I should have said more than just meme, but like, even with how strong it is, with the current state of supers, which you mentioned earlier, like, if these supers were in D1, people would be like, well, that's a little much. With how effective they are, in trials, I'm just gonna go Spec Blade all day, because it's like the amount of momentum you can get, it's just, the floor is so high, like,
And you get camo that actually lasts pretty long.
Yeah.
Long enough to make a play. That's why I like it so much.
Yep, it's a playmaker.
I wanted to mention so if we filter by win rate, talk quickly about the two most winningest, I guess.
Oh, you can filter by win rate? Interesting.
Yeah, yep. So there's three filters. It's win rate, KDA, and popularity.
Oh,
right?
how about
like,
that? Okay.
Popularity is actually probably the least useful filter. Like, KDA and win rate are much more useful because they both tell you that that Sunbreaker, Gunslinger, and Voidwalker are trash. It's pretty much what both of those things tell you. So
yeah. I thought that it would be interesting to talk about the two most successful classes based on the platform, console and PC. So on console, even though Night Stalker, and I assume that Spectral Blades, is the highest representation in terms of popularity, Arcstrider is actually the most successful subclass. And I assume that's obviously bottom tree most likely, and the occasional middle tree. And then on PC, with no surprise, I'm sure, that is Dawnblade. That is the most successful. That is most likely top tree Dawnblade. Funny enough, though, that's followed by Striker Titan and then Sentinel. Like, Hunter is actually not in the top three for most success or by win rate in subclasses on PC, which is really interesting.
That is interesting. Striker is pretty darn high on PC.
Yeah.
Sentinel is not as bad as people think it is. I don't know if it just has a bad rap or something, but like, Sentinel's strong. Good neutral game, good supers, like really great map control if you're going to use Ward of Dawn. I actually think that the shield throwing super is a lot stronger than people think it is. The tracking on those shields is insane. You can pretty much just blind throw them down hallways and stuff and get kills.
Get a triple kill.
Yeah, and if you're using Doomfang Pauldrons and it works, then you get, you know, and you're using the Sentinel tree where you get double throwing things, your super can legitimately last for like a ridiculously long time. But you know, it doesn't get a lot of play. It just doesn't see a lot of play. But I think, Drew, you and I were talking about this earlier, and we were looking at the win rate and the KDA thing. We were like, how the heck is Sentinel so high up here? Like, I feel like I don't see a lot of them, which you don't. But their KDA and their win rate is pretty high, which means the people who do use them are good with them.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that, like, speaking again of like supers that we don't see a lot, but like I can confidently say, you know, there's like, I think 2 or 3 supers I just don't win against with Spec, and Sentinel is one of them. Like, specifically the middle tree. That super I think is you're sacrificing a lot of neutral game, but that super is the best super in the game, in my opinion. It just brings up a massive wall that buffs your teammates, I guess, if they're near you, but says no to pretty much anything.
Oh.
If they get close to you, they don't have to release that wall because it's going to burn you to death. And that means even if you're in a roaming super, so if you try and spec them, try and arc try to them, something, you're not going to do damage. And if they get you caught in there, you're probably dead. So I don't think that super actually loses anything. It still gets the shield throw, which is ridiculous. It gets all the default things that the Sentinel gets. That Code of the Commander super, I personally think, is the S tier super, cannot be beat in the game. And if you're lacking neutral game, I'd say like for that class you could go something like even something as simple as like Armamentarium, just to get like 2 suppressors or something to like supplement your neutral game a little bit. Just makes it happen with that class. So I think that class is so underrated.
I mean,
Strong
singles grenades are better than Night Stalker's tether super, like legitimately. So,
Oh God,
like,
dude, it's
yeah.
oh Lord, it's sad but true. A lot to reflect on there. I think we're about that point in the show. We have actually gone so hard, so deep down the rabbit hole that we completely blew through the entire episode talking about the sandbox. We didn't get to any questions. But the good news is that we will have plenty of questions for next time. Maybe next time we could lead off strong with a couple of great questions that I had written down from the community on Twitter, which we greatly appreciate.
Thank you.
Yeah, but for right now, I think that's going to put a nice little bow on today's episode. Current state of the meta, both weapon-wise and subclass-wise. If you enjoy a particular class or weapon that is not at the top of the state of the meta, let us know on Twitter. Let us know on YouTube or Twitch. Dive into our communities and let's get a discussion going. We want to hear from you. But thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to go around the table real quick and let everyone know where you can find us when we are not here on firing range. Cool Guy.
You can find me on YouTube and Twitter, Cool Guy Games, and Twitch. I'm still streaming, having a great time. It is I Am Cool Guy Games.
Great. Mercules, you.
I am on Twitter, Mercules904. I'm on Reddit and Xbox, Mercules904. And I'm also on the Destiny Massive Breakdown podcast. And that is on pretty much all places that have podcasts.
Awesome. Drew, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitch, mainly twitch.tv/Drewskys. That's where the majority of my content goes now. Occasionally on YouTube, youtube.com/Drewskys channel, and Twitter @Drewskys channel.
Beautifully done. Where can the people find Cammy? He's not here tonight. We missed him, but that's okay. We'll get him next time. Probably, what, youtube.com? Is it CammyCakes Gaming?
Gaming.
Yes.
Okay, great. And on Twitch at, I think, just twitch.tv/CammyCakes?
That's correct.
Awesome. And I'm Fallout. You can find me on youtube.com/FalloutPlays, twitch.tv/FalloutPlays. Just put that into Google. You'll find me anywhere at Fallout Plays, except Instagram. If you see me there, which I think there is a fake Fallout Plays on Instagram. Not me. But thank you very much for joining us. Hope you have a great week, and we will catch you next time. Peace.
Take it easy.
Boom. Audacity done. We're still live on Twitch, though.
I know. Thank you guys so much for
Yeah.
listening to us today and hanging out.
Yeah, we appreciate that, everyone. Out there in
300
Twitch land,
super cool people watching us do this thing.
we really appreciate it. Sorry that we didn't get to the questions. We'll get there next time for sure. We'll fire away. But we had a good discussion, though.
About skill-based, man.
We had a good discussion, though. Kind of
thought that
went
was a
hard
good
on it.
discussion.
See, it wasn't that bad. You were dreading it, I think.
Yeah, I thought that was
Only a
pretty
little.
representative of a lot of different opinions. I don't know.
Yeah.
And what we can do is next time we can talk about the rest of what we had to say about skill-based matchmaking. In the entire episode.
There we go. Cammy thinks he's gonna get out of the matchmaking talk. Mother
chance.
fucker's got another thing coming. We can do either Riot or an ex-Mixer person. Who do we want to raid? I
You
like
don't
both
wanna-
those options.
You don't want to raid CammyCakes and Fantasy Star Online too?
Oh, is he playing Fantasy?
That's what he chose to do tonight
That's-
over
yeah,
being on the podcast, was to stream Fantasy Star Online.
Nah, he doesn't earn that raid. I love that guy. Who do we got?
Let's see here.
Anna, we're done, by the way.
Tell Anna
Yeah.
I said hello.
We're still live on Twitch, but you can talk. Cool Guy says hi. There you go.
Hey.
Hey.
That was like the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse thing. It's like,
Yeah.
Miss
Hey.
KDLH,
Hey.
Yeah.
Benji,
Who?
KJ
Where?
Hobie.
Wait. Oh, Hovey's on? Oh, dude, I'm tempted to say Hovey.
Sure.
I'm gonna say Hovey. He's usually on like Mario Maker or something. I think it's nice to see him on
On the Destiny.
D2. Yeah. Are we good with that, or we want someone else?
I'm
Do
good.
it.
Captain of the ship.
Do it. Aries.
Come on.
We're gonna host our buddy KJ Hovey. Is that cool, Aries? Aries is the real secret captain of the ship. He's
me.
secret captain. KJ Hovey? Question mark. See what he has to say. Boom, he's doing it. All right, chat. Thank you for joining us. Pop in on our good pal KJ Hovey. Fantastic dude. Stay high, spam emotes, and everyone have a great night. We'll catch you next time.
Easy.
Peace.
Peace.